Following his insane spinning back kick knockout over Impa Sangane, Joaquin Buckley had the MMA world in the palm of his hands. But after a run of underwhelming performances at middleweight, it was clear that he wasn't built for the top 15 at 185 pounds. And in 2023, he made the move down to welterweight. And boy, was it a good one. He has emerged as a dark horse of the division and a very, very interesting stylistic matchup for the champion Bilal Muhammad. So let's take a look at what makes Joaquin Buckley the dark horse of welterweight. Buckley's strengths are his footwork, his dynamic kicks, his shot selection, his grappling, both defensively and offensively, and his composure. So let's start with footwork. Buckley has a very well-rounded style of footwork. What I mean by this is he's not good at just using his footwork to move forward, or using his footwork to move backward, or using it to move side to side, or using it to be aggressive or defensive. He's overall good at footwork. He's very good at moving side to side, which you don't see a lot in MMA, and I think that is such an important thing to do. When most people's defense is to back up in a straight line, if you get someone moving laterally, it presents so many different angles and attacks, and obviously it allows you to control the cage quite a lot better because you can circle off and cut angles. He's also just very good, again, at moving forward with his combinations, allowing him to cut people off, and in exchanges, he's very good at circling off afterwards and remaining safe. He's very good at knowing when to exit the exchange and just understanding where he should be at what time. I think that level of footwork against any style is good, but especially against grapplers like you saw against Colby Covington, it was really, really effective defensively. And against Wonderboy, it was really good offensively because he was able to move around Wonderboy's kicks and eventually find that knockout shot. And that was only made possible by his lateral footwork. Kicks. So obviously Joaquin Buckley made his name in the UFC off of what might be the most incredible kick knockout we've ever seen, at least UFC-wise. But he's not built for kicking. You wouldn't look at him and think he's a kicker. He seems like a boxer, and I think in a lot of fights he does get carried away with his boxing, but he actually has a really good set of dynamic kicks. Obviously, he has the left high kick, which he used against Andre Fialho, and he's just very good at slamming left body kicks, and they're just pretty simply just very hard to the arms. But he also really, really loves the step and right kicks, and also just a lead right side kick. He really just pokes with it and uses the high kick to get people's guards up. Again, he used this a lot against Colby Covington, just constantly using that right high kick. And that was really effective because, one, Colby's a southpaw, it's going to be open side, right? So that right high kick is going to land a bit easier. But also it keeps Colby upright. You're not going to want to duck down and change your level if someone's like threatening to kick you in the head. And because Buckley is such an imposing presence, because at welterweight he carries that level of density and strength, but isn't like slow or oversized, because Buckley's naturally a welterweight. He's just been having to fight a middleweight, so he carries that strength down with him. It's like Volkanovski being 210 pounds and coming down to, lightweight and featherweight. Just carries that strength with him, and that'll get people to not want to change levels, not want to engage as much, and it just shuts people down a little bit, which he's very good at doing with his kicks. Shot selection. Despite being such a powerful and imposing presence, Joaquin Buckley doesn't just swing overhands wildly. He's actually really quite methodical with how he picks his punches. So he primarily, at least in his last few fights, has fought southpaw. He obviously loves the left straight down the middle, but he has a very, very good lead right hand. Obviously, great jabbing from that stance, especially against southpaws. You saw that a lot in his fight against Colby Covington, which I'm going to use as a good example here. But also, you see him digging right uppercuts to the head and to the body, especially to Colby, who notoriously doesn't really take body shots that well. He'll thread that through the right uppercut through the middle, He'll even double up, go right uppercut, then right hook. That leaping right hook is excellent, and he'll follow through with his combinations. When he commits to a combination, it is 3, 4, maybe 5 punches, right? And he will dictate when that exchange ends. And because of his footwork, he can keep following his opponent and cutting him off and enabling himself to land those punches. He's also very good at just waiting for his opponent to come in and using that check right hook as a counter. He's just really good at picking his shots and using his punches in variation as well. And obviously a very important skill. I talked about this when breaking down some of Nabila Nain's fights in Muay Thai. He has a very big tool bag, and that really does help him a lot in fights, and it applies here as well. Grappling. So Joaquin Buckley had some issues getting out-grappled at 185 pounds, but at 170, he is powerful, strong, explosive, and athletic. And also, he's still short for the weight class. He's not a tall welterweight, and he doesn't stand tall either. So he is just the perfect, genetic and athletic example to defend takedowns. Joaquin Buckley is very much built like a wrestler in some senses. Very big legs, very strong back muscles, and that athleticism shows in fights. He's just very good at being able to time getting an underhook and an overhook like a whizzer, and just lifting up using strong hips to just stay in place. And because of his excellent footwork, both side to side and back and forth, he's often not in positions where he can be taken down. So if his opponent shoots, Buckley's able to just kind of sprawl, but also frame out of the way and just maintain enough distance where his opponents can't get in on the hips. Against Colby Covington, he got taken down, I believe, once or twice. And then after he got up, he got up mainly based off of getting an underhook and just muscling his way back up. And using the fence quite well. But immediately, as soon as he got up, he was on Covington, not giving him any room to reset. And then as Colby kept shooting takedowns, Buckley would just frame off, and essentially Colby would shrimp up into half guard. And obviously, terrible position for someone against someone as powerful as Buckley, but also just sapping the confidence out of his opponents. Now, Buckley's grappling isn't just good defensively. It's also really good offensively. We saw him take down Nursultan Rusboyev a bunch of times. I couldn't find any footage of that fight, but against Wonderboy, he was able, in brief moments, able to pick him up, slam him, and control him where he could, albeit Wonderboy is a very hard person to take down and hold down effectively, but he was still able to impose his strength on him. And this grappling is actually very, very important if we want to look at how Buckley will do at the high level of welterweight against the likes of, Usman, Bilal, Sean Brady. It's just very important for his future as a contender. And he's passed all the tests at 170 so far. Now I want to talk about Buckley's composure, a very underrated part of his game, I think. Buckley has not had easy matchups at welterweight, by no means. Andre Fialho, while towards the end of his career in the UFC, and a bit chinny, very hard hitter, very dangerous, and he got through Fialho with relative ease. Then Alex Morono, again, doesn't seem that good at fighting, not athletic by any means, but he does give people problems 9 times out of 10, right? He's not an easy fight. He does make it weirdly competitive with people. And Buckley was able to overcome that and dominate in the 3rd round and eventually win the fight. And then he fights Vicente Luque, who, while coming off of a win over RDA and Abramovich, Vicente Luque is he has very good Muay Thai, very good grappling, and Buckley was able to just bully him. And then Nursultan Rusboyev, a 6'5" welterweight with insane finishing potential. And he took him down and rocked him with ease to a fairly easy victory. He had some moments where he got reversed and he seemed a little bit tired. But again, a very tough stylistic matchup, and he got through it. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy gives everyone problems, and in the first round, he was struggling to take Wonderboy down, and Wonderboy was outstriking him. And in the second round, he slowly built up, and I know the commentary team was saying, Wonderboy won round 2 as well. No, he didn't. Right? Buckley was piecing him up in round 2, and eventually he was able to find the knockout in the 3rd. And then Colby Covington, someone who's, a big pressure grappler who puts a pace on people. And again, Buckley really did make that fight look violent, and he got through it, pretty dominantly. So he's had some, difficult stylistic matchups and some fights that have gotten a bit messy. But if you watch those fights, he's always staying calm and composed, and he's always sticking to the game plan. He doesn't divert. He's not doing anything wild or out of the ordinary. He's very disciplined in the cage, and he's just very, very focused, and he has a lot of grit. And I think that is a very underrated thing in a lot of fighters, and I see that in Buckley, and I am very impressed by him. And he matches up really, really well with the top 5 of welterweight, if I'm going to be completely honest. Right, you have, let's think, who's number 5? Jack Della Maddalena. I actually think that's probably one of the hardest fights for him, right? Because boxing for boxing, I think JDM's a bit technically better, but I like Buckley's variety more, especially with the kicks. I don't see Buckley being able to consistently take him down in opposing grappling. I think it's pretty 50-50 there. If I had to resort to anything, I actually would look at chins, and I do trust JDM's chin a bit more, but that is very much a 50-50 fight. Then you have Kamaru Usman. I don't see Usman taking Buckley down. And maybe, but I don't see him taking Buckley down for long either, because Usman does not have knees, he does not have effective jiu-jitsu or ground and pound, so I don't think there's going to be much stopping Buckley from, just giving up his back to get up. And then on the feet, I think Buckley's kicks at range, I think will stomp the knee a lot. And Usman's boxing defense, I don't think has ever been that good, and I do think Buckley would whoop up Usman on the feet. Then we have Leon Edwards. Edwards could make it competitive with Buckley for a bit, but I saw Sean Brady stun Edwards on the feet with step-through combinations, and Buckley is infinitely better at putting pressure on opponents and infinitely better at step-through combinations with a lot more power, so I do think he would knock out Edwards. Shavkat Rakhmonov could be interesting. He could smush him up against the fence, but Buckley is damn strong, and he is used to fighting people that are very, very strong. And again, Shavkat doesn't move his head. I think it'd be a little bit similar to the Jeff Neal fight, but I think Buckley would find a little bit more success. I want to lean Buckley in that fight against Shavkat. Then Sean Brady. Sean Brady, I'm unsure about. I think Sean Brady could very well beat Buckley. I think he's one of the only people that's strong enough to hold him down and go toe-to-toe with him athletically. I don't think Brady's a match from the striking. I don't trust Brady's chin. I don't trust the durability of his nose. I think Edwards was a good stylistic matchup but he very much can smush and hold down and dominate Buckley in the grappling. So I'd probably lean Brady in that one. And then Bilal. Bilal I've seen get reversed, and I don't think Bilal's that strong. And he's sort of gotten a bit, I don't want to say lucky because it doesn't apply. I think Edwards was a bit overrated, and Bilal was able to exploit that. And again, incredible win. I did not pick Bilal to win that fight. But I think now that the blueprint to beat Leon is kind of written, it's much easier said than done. And Burns did really, really badly injure himself in the first round against Bilal. And I just don't think Bilal would be able to impose that kind of pressure on Buckley. And I think the one thing that Buckley has over JDM is I'm a lot more confident in his just baseline takedown defense and his ability to just not get taken down, because he is simply more athletic and larger than JDM. I think that will do quite a lot of wonders. I don't think Bilal would be confident pressuring back someone like Buckley. And I think his ability to target the uppercuts, target the body, is going to be really, really good against Bilal. And I do think he would probably knock him out. Again, Luque had Bilal on skates in their rematch. And again, Edwards did have a lot of moments. Edwards was able to reverse him, land good elbows, land some good shots. And even Wonderboy was kind of piecing him up on the feet before Bilal just kind of imposed his wrestling. Bilal isn't an invincible force. He looked great against Edwards in moments. He just simply isn't as unbeatable as some people are making him out to be, and I do think there's a lot of matchups that will give Bilal difficulty, but out of any of them, I think Buckley is going to give him the hardest fight, and that's why I'm really excited to see what Buckley does next. Buckley will most likely fight Usman next in around June or July, I believe. Whether that be a main event of a fight night or, a feature fight on a pay-per-view, I'd like it to be a fight night main event. I want to see it over 5. But I can't wait for it. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the breakdown. I just wanted to, point the spotlight on Buckley for a little bit, and the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.